Hey, good morning. Dan here. It's Good Friday. It's early morning somewhat. I'm sitting like 5 minutes from my house here in Chilliwack, enjoying God's creation. There are people walking around using power tools. You might hear them. This is going to be a bit of a different video than we've been doing the past couple of weeks. You're not going to have a lot of snappy transitions and jump cuts. I just want to share with you guys what's been happening in our household this past week. Since last Saturday, my wife Lena has had 3 mini strokes. She's doing fine. She's at home now. She's been in and out of the hospital, both Langley Memorial and Chilliwack Hospital. It started last week when we were out for a drive, picking something off Marketplace, one of our favorite things to do as a couple. She picks things out and we go get it. So we were out and driving in South Surrey and Langley when she started feeling ill, and we rushed to Langley Memorial and rushed into emergency. And yeah, terrifying. It has been a terrifying week. First off, I want to say how amazing the healthcare professionals have been, all of them that we've dealt with. Whether Langley Memorial or Chilliwack Hospital here, have been so good and so caring. I cannot emphasize that enough. But she's been in and out of the hospital. They'll release her, doing all the CAT scans and stuff like that, and then she'll have another episode and we're rushing back up to the hospital. They don't know what's causing it, but I'll tell you, there's truly overwhelming, truly terrifying when you're taking your wife into emergency and she's having all the symptoms of a stroke. And she's calling out to God. Why? She's calling out to God. She doesn't want this to happen. And yet I have to tell you, the other night when she was home and we're sitting there on the bed, and of course she's checking in with one of our 7 kids at that time, and all I can hear her saying over and over and over again to my daughter is that God is in control. Now, I want you to understand that it's perfectly normal to yell out to God and to cry out to God when something like that is happening. And yet, at the same time, my wife is there and she's acknowledging God's sovereignty over this situation. And she's taking this opportunity to teach our adult children about how mighty our God is and how in control He is. So in the midst of this week, can't forget, but put aside the global pandemic for a second. And in the midst of everything that's been going on this past week with my wife's health, my wife saying God is in control. You know, this past week, as I was still reading through the Bible plan that we threw up on the website, and I was in Mark 4, and there's the account of where Jesus is in the boat with the disciples on the Sea of Galilee, and the storm springs up, and he's sleeping peacefully with his head on a cushion, as Mark says. And the disciples are literally freaking out. And these are fishermen, these are professionals. They're the ones that know how to sail boats in all sorts of situations, and they are overwhelmed. And they say to Jesus, "Don't you care for us?" And Jesus stands up and he calms the waters, calms creation, and he says to them, "Why are you afraid?" And as my wife is saying that to my daughter, that verse just pops, that story that I've just been reading this week pops into my mind. And today on Good Friday, when we consider the cross and we take part in whatever service we're taking part of online, whether it's at Northview or another church, and you're talking about the cross, you're talking about the gospel with your children, no matter what age they are, or with your spouse, and you're thinking about what does the gospel mean? What does the cross mean in the situation that we find ourselves in today? Take solace, take comfort that God is in control. You know, when I think of those disciples in that boat and how they were crying out because they had no control over the situation. And of course, in our humanness, in our frailty, in our pride, we want control. And yet we are not meant to have control. That is God's sovereign realm. So enjoy today. It is going to be a beautiful weekend. Enjoy creation. Connect with your community in whatever capacity that you can. And know that God loves you.